All right, we knew week 7 was going to be weird. It started with a battle between two 40-something-year-old quarterbacks, which just ties into the overall betting theme we're seeing here. It's a time for the Joes to shine, and that includes Joe Flacco. We'll get into what exactly all of that means right now on Chalk and Chat.
From Las Vegas, this is Chalk and Chat, sponsored by Superbook in Westgate, Las Vegas.
Welcome into Chalk and Chat. I'm Mariah Janos. We have so much to get to today as we're coming off a week of favorites, which has a lot of the public feeling pretty good right about now. But you know who makes us feel good the second he comes into the building? Teddy Covers, with all of his knowledge and wisdom, our betting savant right here, ready to roll. And while Teddy brings the calm, steady vibes, the chaos to his stoicism, is right next to him. The Fat Jack. That's a hurricane right there. Yeah?
I'm excited about today, though.
Are you? Well, I'm glad because we have quite the show here today. Coming up on today's show, Teddy and Jack are getting into the legitimacy of some teams and their potential as we approach the midway point of the season. Plus, we'll hear from the Superbook on which teams have impacted them week after week. And no show is complete without our prop battle and best bets. But first, we got to do something new, a little shake-up here. We have to start with some breaking news out of the world of pro basketball. 30 people, including Portland head coach Chauncey Billups and Miami guard Terry Rozier, have been arrested as part of federal investigations into gambling and sports rigging operations linked to multiple major crime families intertwining the association and La Cosa Nostra, a.k.a. the Italian Mafia. As someone who always recommends the Mob Museum every time people come to town, I find this fascinating, but I do want to look at the sports betting aspect of it. Teddy, let's start with you. I know you got some feelings about this one, but a story like this, there's always one that comes out just about every year about some high-profile person in athletics, illegally gambling. What kind of impact does that have on the betting space? How do the markets react to that?
So first, let's start with this, is that the markets caught this stuff really quick. The Terry Rozier stuff was caught immediately. Though, one game, and boom, it was flagged. The commissioner sat him, and he didn't play again the rest of the year. And then the league cleared Terry Rozier before the charges were placed this past week, or in the last day or two. The Chauncey Billups stuff is really interesting because it sounds like he had a little bit of loose lips, perhaps. But there needs to be intent, and having loose lips doesn't necessarily mean you're guilty of federal charges. So the bottom line, in my world, A, you're innocent until proven guilty, and B, the fact that this stuff has been recognized and caught quickly is a really positive sign for sports betting. It is. And it's going to get framed as negative. Oh, look at this. It's scandal, scandal, scandal. Number one, it's not scandal. It's allegations.
Sound like Teddy was at the game to me. Sound like I'd been
was
playing poker with him.
I'm not trying to point the feds in any direction.
But we might want to check it out over here on the end of the table.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's a little bit like getting on an airplane. I mean, one plane crashes, none of the rest of them do. You're
That's
probably
dark.
Well, I know it is, but this is such a rare thing. It's not back in 1994 when you go place a bet with Guido the Killer Pimp and then you bet on whatever, and next thing you know, you've got fraud going on, but nobody knows about it. Here, all of these books are intertwined. The AI has got them out in front of things. And anytime you're betting over the amount, especially on unders and players props, that is literally the poster child for how you would try to cheat the book. And everybody knows about it, so these sirens go off and they start investigating it. What we should be celebrating is the fact it was caught so quickly.
And, of course, the key here is player props. That's where – so some of the stuff against Chauncey has to do with Damian Lillard playing or not playing in a particular game. The stuff from the Lakers coach or LA's coach, also about players playing or not playing in a particular game. So that's for side wagers, which not for props, which it matters to the spread most assuredly. But the majority of this stuff, all the Terry Rozier stuff, is all player props, and that's certainly where, when we think about what the leagues are worried about the most when it comes to manipulation, it's player props.
Going to try to get out.
Info's out there, and
it's relatively new. All of this type of stuff in the expansion of sports gambling has got these type of bets that are new, and that is the obvious one if you're going to try to rig it. But unless you're betting a ton of money, it's probably the price of doing business. It happens very rarely. This is one of those things to be celebrated because 20 years ago, this could have gone on for months or years with nobody knowing.
Yeah, I mean, we do have to wrap out of this, unfortunately,
Yeah,
because we
it's
could
be
talk
half
about
hour.
this
Yeah.
all show.
Yeah.
We could just scrap everything, but unfortunately, this is a football show. But I will say what's interesting is that come November 1st, the NCAA is allowing players to bet and coaches to bet on pro sports. To me, the two of these things can go hand in hand. A lot of these collegiate athletes, their former teammates are now playing pro. You could get insider information. I think it'll be interesting to see if there is some sort of trickle-down effect there, but maybe not. But we're going to move on to some football. We're going to put the poker, the basketball, the point shape, whatever it is, we're going to put it aside. And we're going to move on to Dazed and Confused, because what a weekend it was for the pros, you guys. Favorites coming out on top throughout the entirety of the Week 7 slate. Teddy, let's start with maybe some bad beats. I know Denver caused some problems there.
Well, sure. I mean, when a situation is 1,602-0, and now it's 1,602-1, you're going to call that a tough beat. And that, of course, if you had the G-men on the money line last week, teams that were leading by 18 points or more with 6 minutes or less had been 1,602-0 in the last 1,602 two times, but the G-men found a way to give it away. Well, give Denver credit for rallying back 0-0-0 and then 33 in the fourth. Tough if you had the G-men on the money line. But the big story of the weekend was favorites. Mm-hmm. Favorites go 9-4 on Sunday, 6-0 in the early games. That means lots and lots of parlay liability. And then what happens? Monday night, favorites go 2-0. That made a bad week even worse with Seattle and Detroit covering, at least a bad week for the books. Recreational bettors did all right this week.
Yeah, it's like we were back to last season when you had that more times than not. I mean, Ohio State, of course, they're going to cover. They win by 50. You know, those type of things. Everything happened like the general public thought it was going to. This year's been more of a house a year, but this last week, a little PTSD on pulling back to last year. And a great week, by the way, for us to roll out our anti-parlay because we're going with against the public. But yeah, you're right. The G-men, if you consider that a bad beat, and it certainly was, but it didn't become one. We talked about this off the air until later in the game. If you're betting G-men on the money line, you're kind of getting what you get. You don't throw a fit. But yeah, certainly they got themselves in a position to win, playing better football. But the overall favorites that won, certainly good for the public, and they frankly needed it because it's been a real house year.
Yeah, and it's worth noting that come October, and here we are in late October now, but October is the one month of the year where I think that recreational bettors have a legitimate edge over the wise guys. Because wise guys are betting what teams are supposed to be, and recreational bettors are betting what teams actually are. I think generally October is the best month of the season for Joes, not for pros. That was certainly the case last weekend.
Yeah, certainly not time to overreact if you're doing anything. And that goes both ways. If you're the general public and you had a good week last week, don't expect that to happen every week. Don't be pushing your bets up because identify that is a rarity. If that happened most of the time, the houses would have certainly different rules on how they're taking bets.
All right, you hear that, everyone. Enjoy it while it lasts because it's not sticking around. All right, we're just getting started here on Talk and Chat. We're hitting the Westgate to see how they're licking their wounds after a losing weekend. Plus, we're separating the contenders from the pretenders. Next.
You're watching Chalk and Chat, sponsored by Superbook in Westgate, Las Vegas.
We are here at the Superbook at the Westgate, Las Vegas, getting you set for Week 8 of the pro football season, and I am joined by the Vice President of Race and Sports here at the Westgate, Mr. John Murray. Okay, let's start with how you guys did in Week 7. I know it was a rough one.
Tough one. A lot of favorites covered in Week 7, including both favorites on Monday night. Tough week for us.
And looking at this season so far as a whole, is there a team that has been making you guys money this season?
Well, it's hard to think of anybody after last week, but I would have to say Carolina. They've won as an underdog a few times, including a couple weeks ago against Dallas, and they've been good for us several times this season.
Now, on the flip side, is there a team that's just crushing you week after week?
Yeah, and I blame you. I blame you for New England. Yeah. New England is a very hot public team. They score a lot of points. They're scoring a lot of points. They're covering big spreads. They were really bad for us last week. They're very popular right now.
Those are my guys. I can't even be mad about that one. Now, heading into this Week 8 slate, is there any matchup that's jumping out at you?
There's a few good ones this week, but I'm going to go with Dallas-Denver. That game is Sunday afternoon. Dallas is a hot team right now. They score a lot of points. Denver scored 33 points in the fourth quarter on Sunday. That didn't help us either. It's okay. Hopefully we'll get better results this week.
All right, so you heard him there. He's
Sad
hoping.
Westgate.
They're so defeated right now.
They're used to winning. Just open it up.
The way I'm
thing.
like, how'd you guys do last week? And he's like, not good. And like, that was it. I was like, nothing more needs to be said. All right, let's move this train along. He touched on one of the teams you're about to talk about, Denver, what they pulled off in the fourth quarter in week 7. But let's talk about what we're seeing right now and kind of, should we be believing what we're seeing? Are teams as good as they claim to be? Is it more opponent based? Like, what are we looking at here?
Sure. I mean, mid to late October is the time we get to assess, is this hot start real or not real? So let's start, Jack. Baltimore as favorites in the AFC North.
So I like Kansas City early in the year. I'm okay with that. I think Baltimore, once they start getting healthy, Jackson comes back, they'll run the ball more effectively, and their schedule kind of lines up. So I'm going to say real. I'm going to say they're not totally done yet.
Yeah, and then so they're co-favorites with Pittsburgh right now. But I'm with you on Baltimore. Despite the disaster start to the season, the personnel is in place. The confidence level is there. But they're going to beat someone this Sunday. They're going to get there for sure. How about New England? We just heard John Murray talking about it and saying that New England was their worst nightmare. They're in first place in the AFC East. Real? Not real.
I think not real. I think they regress back to the mean a little bit, as I do Denver as well.
Yeah, I got a bet on New England under 8.5 season wins that I'm not real happy about right now.
Yeah, well, it seems to be you.
That said, their schedule has been every bit as easy as people thought it was going to be coming into the season. They've been feasting on the week, with the one exception of the win at Buffalo, but they won at Buffalo.
Yeah.
How about Denver? Denver's in first place in the AFC West. Real or not real? Rallying from 18 down last
For me, not real, or not as real as they are right now. I think they regress as well. It's all about who they're going to be, not who they've been, and schedule is a huge part this time of year for sure.
Sure. See, this is one where we're going to disagree on, because I believe in Denver, and certainly I know their defense didn't play well last week.
You have a man crush on Bo Nix.
No, I got a man crush on their defense.
Okay, that works too.
Their defense, I think, is loaded, and we've seen a couple of bad games. They had a bad game against Indy and a bad game against the G-Men, but I think Denver will be in the postseason mix when we're talking here in January. Last but not least, Chicago. They'd be in the playoffs this season, and today, then again, last year they started 4-2 as well.
Yeah, they're talking about that in Chicago as well, about last year versus this year. They're starting to buy in. I'm not buying in at all. They've got the benefit of a ton of turnovers. Their schedule's been good. Their wins are against New Orleans, Washington, Las Vegas, Dallas. I mean, bad football teams. Also in the bottom 4 against the run. So I'm absolutely not buying into Chicago.
And you and I will agree on that. Chicago with 15 forced turnovers in the last 4 games. That's not a pace that they'll be likely to maintain.
Yep. So it's being able to get out in front of the curve a little bit. Yeah, they've been covering and winning, but who's not as good as their record you can take advantage of in October, not always during that part of the season.
It's always rough to be a Chicago fan. This is just the vicious cycle for them. They get so excited, and it always ends the same way. All right, Jack, kind of sticking with this theme here of teams being a little bit more deceiving, are there any other teams that you're looking at that it's like, are they actually that good?
Yeah, that's what you want to do in October, is figure out who's overperformed or underperformed. We'll revert back to the middle a little bit. I think that Buffalo has a chance of reverting back. I think this is a team that has not beaten a lot of teams. Their wins are a combined 3-24 straight up, the teams that they've beaten. Obviously, with Josh Allen, it's hard to get that out of your head. This guy's the best, if not one of the best 2 or 3 in the league. But I think this is a team that will probably come back. They're also not good. They're last in yards per carry versus the run. So they're giving up rushing yards, which allows worse teams or bad teams to kind of stay in the game. So I think Carolina might keep that game a lot closer than the market predicts. Also, Houston, San Francisco. If we saw this in college football, we'd be like, a 5-2 team is an underdog to a 2-4 team. What are we doing here? But when you look at the anatomy of what San Francisco is, they are McCaffrey and nothing else offensively. They lose the linebacker. Warner's out. This is a team that when McCaffrey's able to take over, as they did against Atlanta, they're going to be fine. When you get athletic defense, and Houston is exactly that, top 2 or 3 in the league in defense, they're going to have trouble scoring points and moving the football. So another one of those teams that the record is not really indicative of how good they are at this point in the year.
With the injuries, do you kind of see San Francisco as fool's gold as well? Or is it just week to week?
Jack and I will agree on that.
I love this. We're agreeing today.
Yeah. So mostly, we'll find something.
Players' props are coming. We'll get after it.
But I mean, San Fran is when we look at their injury report, and injuries matter as much as anything else.
Yeah.
If not more. Their injury report's a disaster. Their defense on paper is a disaster. I'll give them credit for doing what they've done so far this season, but they remind me more of last year's Chicago than this year's Chicago.
Got it. Yep. All right. Well, you just talked about it a little bit. We got the prop battle on the way. It's gonna be huge, so stick around. We're dishing out player props next.
You're watching Chalk and Chat, sponsored by Superbook in Westgate, Las Vegas.
It's my favorite part of the show. It's time for some controversy, the calm against the storm. Who comes out on top? Yes, I'm talking about our prop battle between Jack and Teddy. All right, we're going to start with kind of the theme of like you guys, like old guys. Aaron Rodgers, over under 219 and a half passing yards.
I feel like I'm pretty sexy at this point. I don't know that old is what I would go with, but okay.
Like a fine wine.
Exactly.
Okay.
I'll go with old. Hey, we are what we are.
Lean into it, right?
Let's go with Aaron Rodgers under 219 and a half passing yards against Green Bay. Both defenses have something to prove this week. Green Bay's defense is good, though. They really have something to prove, and they did not play well last week at all. And Rodgers, he's got less than 250 passing yards in every game. That's not what Pittsburgh wants to do. They want to run the football. Let's take Rodgers under his passing.
Yeah, I don't need 250. I need 220. And I think that's where we're going to end up. Big game, obviously. He says it's not a revenge game. I think there's some more to that. I do think they will have to throw it to open up the run. So let's go over in that one. I think he has a big game.
You think he's still petty? I like it.
He absolutely is petty.
I mean, he
right?
lives in the world of pettiness. I get it. Okay, next up we got Drake London, over under 63 and a half receiving yards.
I want to talk about pettiness for a minute.
Okay.
Did you live in a world of pettiness, Mariah?
Sometimes.
Yes, I'm sure you do. We all do at times.
So?
Drake London doesn't. Drake London, 63 and a half receiving yards against Miami. And we just want to bet against Miami's defense any way that we can. All right, that's the truth of it right now. From an effort standpoint, I don't argue with you want to take running backs over against Miami. You want to take receivers. I thought Drake London's certainly fine as someone to target. And look at his two home games, the last two home games. 8 catches for 110 yards, 10 catches for 158 yards. It's not like Penix isn't looking for him. And he's off a subpar showing last week, 4 of 42. But he was targeted 10 times in that ball game. And more than anything else, Jack, Miami's showing lots and lots of quit right now. Let's fade them any way we can.
If the line setters did not have television sets, I would love that bet. But I think that's all factored into the number because everybody knows Miami's I don't know if they can circle. They don't even have wheels on their wagons to circle the wagons at this point. But if there's a circle,
pool.
yeah, they're literally just moving it and circling it up and hoping for the best. They've got problems up and down the lineup, but most of the player prop numbers are going to indicate that. So I think a few more of these will go under, and I would start with Drake London. I think he is under his numbers on Sunday.
All right, and maybe, who knows if he hits the over? Maybe it's the week that Mike McDaniel gets fired, but maybe not. Probably
He's
not.
Even a bigger favorite.
Like
yeah.
he could do just about anything other than like commit murder. And
that's going to be my lock of the week this week.
Yeah, let's do
He's
it.
next coach
All
to
right,
be fired.
Finally, in our prop battle here, James Cook over under 16 and a half carries against Carolina.
Yeah, I saw 16 and a half and 17 and a half out there for James Cook. I'd rather go over 16 and a half than 17 and a half, even if I have to lay a little bit of juice to do it. But Carolina's run defense is not elite, and that puts it mildly. Buffalo's game plan in this game is likely to be just try to run the ball down their throats. Cook's gone over 16 and a half in 4 out of 5 games. And Carolina's 3-game winning streak, they all came against bad defenses. Miami, Dallas, New York. They're facing a good defense here. What happens when you face a good defense? Less time of possession, which means more time of possession for the other team, which means more James Cook carries. Cook carries over 16 and a half.
Yeah, I'm going to hope they spread the ball out, and really Josh Allen needs to have a huge game. They'll get him more involved in the running game and spread the running duties out to multiple players. So there's a lot of runs, but not necessarily to Cook, so let's go under on his touches.
Okay. Interesting. Interesting.
Some of them are easier than others. So.
I love the way Jack can spin things sometimes. It's really impressive. Well, we'll see, because he's actually been pretty decent with these prop battles.
Who knew?
Who knew? Not me, that's for sure. All right, finally, on Chalk and Chat, we got best bets. We're giving out some picks after the break.
You're watching Chalk and Chat, sponsored by Superbook in Westgate, Las Vegas.
I'll tell you what, time just flies on this show. We are somehow already on to best bets. So let's just get into it. Jack, you're actually going to start today. Big day.
I don't like when I'm playing information that everybody has, but I do think getting Lamar Jackson back is a big get. I mean, if he
Don't say.
he practiced early in the week, they can run the ball. Chicago can't stop the run. They're the bottom 4 against the run. They, as Teddy said, they've taken advantage of 1 million positive turnovers. They're not going to continue that. And we just expect everybody in Chicago to go eat fat sandwiches and gain 20 pounds this summer or this winter. And that's normally what happens when they start losing. So if that doesn't happen, what's Portillo's going to do? I mean, what are these places going to do? So I'm going to say Baltimore gets it done by more than a touchdown against Chicago.
Counting on the stress eaters.
Absolutely, right? It's time of year. Tis the season.
True. You would know out of anyone. Okay. Teddy, what do you got for us?
Well, first I'll give you a seal of approval because I would certainly agree with that 100%. If there's
You think Lamar Jackson might be a good get?
and that if Baltimore is going to do something, it starts here.
Yep.
So I wouldn't argue with that. And I also agree with your assessment that you don't always want to take all the information that the public's all interested in and bet that. That being said, I want to fade Miami, and there's no reason not to fade Miami in this spot. Atlanta, -7.5 versus Miami. Miami has 3 double-digit losses in 4 road games. We'll call them a dead team walking. You know, the trade deadline is looming for Miami with numerous veterans on the block. That's a huge distraction. And Atlanta no-showed in San Fran last Sunday night. Lots of mistakes, not a good game. They're 2-0 straight up, 2-0 against the spread off their 2 previous losses. I think that'll be 3-0 straight up, 3-0 against the spread after they slaughter Miami.
Yeah, the week before they look incredible. Then they go to San Francisco and lay an egg. So, yeah, if it's this, then you definitely want to jump back on the train.
And this is this part of it.
That's right, going back up.
That's been Atlanta all season long. Why stop now? Okay, cool. So we don't have much time, but we need to get back to the whole mob of it all.
Yeah.
Jack, let's start with you. If you had a mob name, what would it be? We have 20 seconds.
Where do you think Fat Jack came from?
That's so true. I think maybe spice it up with like walking salami or something.
No, I would stick with me and just dribble spaghetti down my front.
Teddy, you got one?
One-toed Meyer Lansky. How about Teddy Coverski?
Teddy Coverski. Why not?
How about one-toed Teddy?
And mine is I'll break your kneecaps, and I'll see you next week. Thank you.